costs at the bank. We've really got to be self-sufficient, so we put a sum aside as the reserve.
Contingency, same thing, pretty much.
Yeah, if you like. There is no hard and fast figure. I have heard as much as 50% of your precept should be set aside, or the value of your precept should be set aside of the reserve. I got the parish council to agree the figure of £30,000 as the target for this year.
Yeah.
We aren't going to make it by a mile. We are going to be down. My guess is at the end of this year, if we have 10,000 in the bank account, I think we're going to be lucky. I'm deeply disappointed, but even almost within days of getting the parish council to agree 30,000, other things came out of the woodwork and it started to blow. Notwithstanding anything else, one of the sums we have to set aside is to put that reserve back up to whatever level we think, and then we have whatever expenditure we expect on top of that.
So when, can I just ask a question? So when Richard has said 55,000 is in the reserve account, blah, 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 that's not actually...
No. At the moment, if we have two bank accounts, the account and the tracker. In the tracker account is £1,000.
Okay.
And if I tell you that during September, we were not able to pay an invoice
Oh, golly.
because our tracker was at 1,000 and our bank account was down in the hundreds, and we had to split an invoice into two, pay half and leave the other half until we got the precept. We were scraping the barrel earlier this year, absolutely scraping the barrel. That's about as bad as it can get, frankly. Yeah. So obviously we try and predict things that are going to happen and put money aside for it, but a good case this year has been that sewer pump that went, cost us £7,000 or £8,000, not only for the pump but for the pumping out the tanks in the meantime. It's that the sort of thing, frankly, we can't predict. Gosh, Alec, I said I'd say. A point to remember is that we have had to spend unprecedented amounts on legal costs last year and this, way in excess of the precept increase for 2014-15. So where does the money come from? The precept went up by £23,000. We've forked out £70,000 in legal costs this year. So where's it coming from? We're depleting things. We've not done things. Now, I also said that if I lapse into the idea of running costs and capital, forgive me, my view of running costs is what we need to spend to maintain the status quo. Capital is what we need to spend to move forward, to actually advance, to be better in a year's time than we are this year because we've put more things out or what. Okay, high-level figures. What's left at the end of 2014 ideally should be 30,000. I think we'll be lucky to clear 10. Level reserves should be 30,000. We receive a very small grant from, I think, the government via ABDC. It's 1,420 for next year. It's half that the year after, and then it disappears. It's kind of not worth worrying about, frankly. But I do fear what I said earlier, that the government may decide that parish council expenditure's got to get in check, and they'll put a cap on it somehow. Income I'll come on to, expenditure I'll come on to. I should have put the precept calculation, how we arrived at it on the website, and I really apologise, but I had an email from Ralph Weston and sent him back the explanation. You'll see columns headed 2011, 12, 12, 13, 13, 14. And these are the figures that we actually received as income or spend in the particular year. Okay? For 2014-15, they were the figures year to date, up to, I think, the end of October. Okay? So we use those figures to try and anticipate what we thought we might spend next year. Far less, I hope, of a finger in the air exercise, far more of, well, let's look at what we spent and see if we can rationalise against that. But I wanted to take into account this risk, this idea of risk factor. And, I've quoted somewhere about burials. We would like to think we're going to get £2,000 in from burials. But who knows? Risk, I should say so. So we apply a risk factor to decrease the anticipated amount in the way of income. In the case of expenditure, I tried to break the figures up so that, for instance, what we pay E.ON for the electricity for the Parish Council lights is pretty predictable. We pay by monthly direct debit. It's the same every month. We should know what it is. So the risk factor is really low. Street lighting failing is utterly unpredictable. You have to put a relatively high risk factor on that. I did worry that risk factors and contingency were double accounting, but I somehow in my mind's eye reasoned that this wasn't actually the case. You know you're going to spend money on street lamps, you just don't quite know how much. The contingency, the reserve, is for things you really just never anticipated and just come at you out the blue. Okay, so I think they are two different things. Well, I'm clear in my mind now.
No,
I can stand an argument on that if you wish. Right. There are some items in the detail figures that are there for a reason. I regret to say that I may not be able to expand on those reasons at this meeting. So if I say, trust me, I don't know why you should, but if I indicate no comment, you will have hit one of those spots and I will say no more about it. I'm sorry, things are moving around us as we speak, and we had to react and put things in the Precept, but some of the brown stuff hasn't hit the fan yet. What more can I say? Sorry? Yeah.
Christmas. Never mind.
I mentioned earlier about planning on that. Fine, I'm going to do it. Right. Okay. What I kind of didn't want to do, but I'm open to guidance from you. I didn't kind of want to go through line by line, but I will answer specific questions if you have them. So can I throw it open? Anything about income that springs to mind?
This might be one of the delicate areas, but you've got an anticipated income of 4,000 from the hub. How reliable is that?
No comment.
Right.
Sorry, it is.
I understand fully.
It is down on what we might expect,
Sure,
but it's
yes.
down on what we might expect for a reason. And I think, to be honest, we've just got to be realistic.
Yeah.
We have already this year, in my Precept calculations or my reserve calculations, scaled down our anticipated income from the hub in this year. I think it's probably right to say there's a significant risk next year.
Sure.
Sorry, I don't mean to be blunt or dismissive.
You couldn't say anything else.
No,
Really,
I'm a bit hand-tied with that. I mean, we don't really have a lot of income. It's significant that the largest chunk there is the VAT refunds, which is kind of odd, but there you go. The way we account for it, we treat that as income.
Actually, can you claim the VAT back from legal fees?
Yeah, some of them.
You can?
Yeah, but we can't claim the VAT back from Don Everett's work, for instance. He's not VAT registered.
Well, what are these invoices then? Agriculture?
No, they're not VAT registered. We pay the amount of the invoice. We cannot claim VAT back. There is no VAT identified on the invoice.
He doesn't charge VAT, presumably.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, it was just a thought.
I mean, if VAT is identifiable on any invoice, we can claim it back.
Yeah,
If it's not, we can't. Simple as that.
Okay.
Expenditure is probably the big one, and I've tried to break it down into really a lot of categories, which may be a good idea, it may not be, but I think it helps, if nothing else, to outline the fairly significant range of things that we have to commit money to. Whether you like it or not, we have a website, it costs us. It may only be 80 quid a year, but it still costs us. But you add all these things up and they begin to mount up. You're looking puzzled.
No, I'm just thinking the website's the best thing that ever happened to the village. It's
yeah.
absolutely, apart from the minutes still aren't on for November.
No, they haven't technically been agreed that we had to hold them back.
Again.
There was something in the minutes that it was decided was inappropriate, and we're trying to reword them.
Oh, okay. Fine.
They have been done, but it's as simple as that. There's something we felt perhaps shouldn't go out there, so they're being reworded.
Okay. And everybody was in agreement with that, were they, in that closed meeting?
It didn't come up in the closed meeting. Oh, it did actually, yes, I'm sorry.
It must have done.
No, well, what can I say? Let's not dwell on it, I'll explain to you after. It's a red herring. It's a red herring, but just as a complete aside, I'm starting up the website. It's going to be much better next year.
Oh, good.
Yes. There's going to be a list of dates down the left-hand side. The middle column is going to be the agenda, and there'll be a button if there is an agenda, and no button if there isn't, and then the right-hand side will be the minutes. So all launched from one page. It has nothing to do with this at all. Sorry,
No,
that's
but
just,
that could be your hobby after May.
I've been working on it. That's all. Okay.
Under street lighting,
Yes, sir.
you have item 3, other,
Yes.
a
6,000.
provision of 7,350.
Yeah, well spotted.
Looking back over the last years, I find it difficult to see the logic of how you arrive at that figure.
Okay, have a look specifically at the middle one, the 6652.
Yep,
This was the Parish Council embarking on an agreed programme of lamp post replacement.
right.
The next year, which is this year, isn't it? It didn't happen because we haven't got enough money to do it.
Right.
So what that figure was put in as a let's resurrect the replacement
Yeah,
programme.
no, understood.
The alternative is wait till they fall down and then replace them.
Sure.
Not really what we should be doing. So there is a sum of money put in to do lamppost replacements.
Now this next query is going to be controversial. Footpaths, we've got 6,000.
Yep.
Given the need to rebuild the reserve, how can we justify spending any money at all on the footpaths when possibly within the village resources, volunteer resources, we could find enough to keep the footpaths open,
Okay.
if not pristine?
Valid point. I think since I did the precept, I think the figure's come down to about 4,000, isn't it?
Yes.
But it's one of those decisions that we can put out to you and say, you know, we recognise that footpath maintenance has not been good. We would like to improve it.
Sure.
We would like to improve it by drawing in a contractor to do the work for us. Dave has had a number of quotes, and as I said, the figure is nearer 4,006.
Right.
But you know, this is the whole point of feedback. If you're saying, don't spend the money on footpaths, we can delete it.
No,
My personal view is we should do something.
I'm not saying don't apply for the money, but it's the appropriation. I'd rather see it go towards rebuilding the reserve, which is a high priority, isn't it?
It is, but
Unless you're going to put in, I mean, you haven't got the provision in here, a draft precept, but just by doing a simple subtraction, we have a figure of 24,500
for
the precept, ignoring,
I don't quite know where we're coming from there.
well, you've got...
Because the precept should be up in the £100,000 plus mark.
Sorry, I got that wrong. 132,500. Sorry, I read the wrong figure. 132,500, which is the difference between 150,000 or thereabouts, which is your total expenditure, and the assumed income of 17,500. Difference between those two, to square the circle, is 132,500 with no provision for rebuilding the reserve, except the fortuitous gains from your risk factoring, which might be either too pessimistic or too optimistic, as the case may be.
Okay, I'm going to beg to differ from your figures slightly, but can I revert to that one, on that one?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, sticking with the footpaths, you know, what do you think? I think we recognise they've not been good. We would like to smarten them up. I think we're less worried about the footpaths way out in the country, but more worried about the footpaths in the village here, you know, from street to street.
Do you want me to add a few comments? I'm not sure if you've been to the meetings, but I've sort of, this has been overgoing for quite a while.
Yeah, I saw your presentation about a year ago.
Only about 6 months ago.
Excellent.
Yeah. So from there, I've tried to sort of build it, but it's taken a long while, so it doesn't cancel. And my thought process is, as going back to what you said a minute ago, it should be a community project, keeping that open. It could be a community project, but the state of them, I think, as a parish council, for us to say to the community, can you go and sort them out, I think it's just embarrassing for us. I don't think that's the right way forward. I think we should hand them over in a fit state and say, this is the state of the footpaths now. We've got them correct. Let's keep them like this.
Yeah, no, I agree, in an ideal world.
Yeah, not yet.
But we're not in an ideal
No, of
world.
course we're not.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's a conundrum we're facing.
It is, and it is. I've put it in. I've tried to get a quote. All I've got so far is just an estimate, which I want to get more quotes in. So it might come down of clearing the three or four main footpaths, which were a problem, and that was what the quote came in at. There was a little bit of buffer in there for sort of general maintenance, but once I feel we got that done, I then want to hopefully in the next council sort of push forward a community project and try and hand it back. Get community groups in the area to look after the certain, get the scouts perhaps to look after the section, just. But I couldn't drive that and say, can you go and sort that out for us?
No.
Because it is a mammoth task.
No, I can't fault your logic, but it's
Yeah.
just looking at all these other items of expenditure. There's very little here that
Yeah.
we could say we can cut or
Yeah.
avoid.
Mm.
And I thought, of all these things, footpaths is probably
Well,
one.
that's true. I've got to say it's true. It's perhaps a
Could be
luxury
either
item. It shouldn't
postponed
be.
or avoided.
Yeah.
If they're not maintained to a certain standard though, surely if somebody hurt themselves, would you not be liable?
Yeah, there is that angle.
I'm
of
just
course. Health and
thinking,
safety.
Yeah.
in your,
Well, to be honest, they're impassable. I mean,
Yes.
I looked at them the other day with the contractor, and the entrance in from Twitchell Lane now is like this table.
yes,
You can't physically get into
no,
them.
no.
So
So they do need a lot of attention.
they've
actually
not been
now-
looked after. They've not been looked after over the years, and they've got in such a state
Yeah,
that we've arrived at this. But to be honest, if we'd spent the money over the years correctly, it would have probably added up to this anyhow. But
no.
we'd have had open footpaths.
And presumably you priorised, I think you said there's 4
Yeah.
main parts, so you're not just doing everything in
No,
it's the key ones that
The
are
others-
most used.
Yeah.
presumably.
I mean, I can go through which ones they are, but the ones outside of that little 4 or 5, I think a community group could take them on and do them.
Mm.
We're talking about a lot of these ones where we need tree felling,
Mm.
chopping them up and cutting right back. The others really can be done by groups. These are the ones that are really in the
You
middle
see,
of the
like the
village.
homeowners adjacent, Twitchell Lane, I know New Road, those footpaths were maintained by the people who used to live in
Yeah,
the houses sort of along the side.
yeah.
People used to pay
The trouble is
attention.
people now are, I'm not saying it, certain people are starting to throw stuff over.
Oh, yes, I know.
And this is a problem. So
Shocking.
what are plans to do? I mean, I don't want
It's
to
a shame we
sidetrack
can't
this
just go
really,
throw
but
it back.
what I plan to do is when we get them open, we send letters to everyone abutting these footpaths saying, it's got to stop.
Yes.
This is, and try and sort of launch the whole thing again. But
Yeah.
it's a big project, and obviously we need the money, I think, to start it.
I think
Otherwise,
the key factor is safety.
Mm,
These brambles that,
yeah,
trail across,
Yeah.
if somebody either hard of,
yeah,
bad sight, walks into it, could be a very big insurance claim against the council.
yeah.
So on that level, it's vital to make sure that it's a safe passage
Mm.
through the footpaths
Yeah.
I think-
at a minimal level. But that, I don't want to dwell too long.
No, but the point is valid. I think what Dave, what we're aiming at is kick-starting a programme here, and the programme might develop into self-help. We did used to have a guy called Joe Melduca. No, somebody Melduca, Robin Melduca.
Yeah.
There's a guy
Or was Rob-
previous to that who used to do that.
Was there?
Yeah.
He used to live opposite the ball.
Yeah.
He used to maintain footpaths, but then backed out of the equation, and we've really not done very much at all since then.
It's years ago.
Any other questions? Because otherwise I'll highlight 1 or 2 things as I go down the list.
The churchyard.
Yeah. Yeah, one of our more controversial items here. Yes, go on.
Again, you've probably got a reason for this, but looking at the history, we've got nominal sums in 11, 12, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Then significant sums relatively
Yeah,
in the last 2 years.
yeah.
And you are reflecting the bigger sums rather than the smaller ones.
We had a groundsman, we then didn't have a groundsman.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So,
Yes, that's okay.
Tony used to maintain the graveyard,
Sure.
the churchyard. Tony's not with us. I mean, the churchyard is perhaps an area where we could derive some efficiencies. You know, I don't know how often they're cutting, but if they're cutting once a week, tell them to cut once a fortnight. You know, there are things we can do there.
The council has a statutory responsibility
I believe so.
for the church.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't think that runs to saying you must cut it once a week.
No, the service level's got to be defined by the
Yeah.
council. But I think the economies of scale can come from somebody, that subcommittee structure within the facilities committee, looking at who cuts the grass here, who cuts the grass there,
Who does the
should they do it
footpaths?
together?
Yeah, yeah.
Or, and footpath side of it. You know.
There are, just as a general comment, there are areas where we can make efficiencies. And we kicked one in the other week, which was the number of bins that are outside. We were paying a huge sum of money for 6 bins, and we've cut it down to 3. Just halved in an instant what we're paying. I hope we can
There only
sustain.
ever used to be 2. In Lee's time, when she had that,
Yeah,
there were only ever 2.
well, they're also now locked, or they're supposed to be locked because tradesmen were dumping stuff in. We're not a freebie like that. But they're just a couple of simple examples.
Yeah, but to my mind, if the trade picked up, they should pay for their own bins. No, he doesn't pay. I know.
Isn't it meant this a waste from the general bins around the park that goes in there?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Oh, because the hub came, everybody started using, we've generated more waste, like, okay.
Yeah.
So
He may well be using them, I don't know, but I know that they're there for when we empty the bins in
The
the
loose
park.
picks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of comments, if I may, just looking through one or two things. I've got a sum in there for training and courses. We will have a raft of new parish councillors in May next year. They need to be trained. They need to go on a particular course. That will cost us a bit of money. So we have to set aside for that. Office, don't think there's much particularly there. PWLB is the loan board. It's the mortgage for this building that we're sitting in. Pretty predictable. Bear with me.
Have you
Sorry?
taken into account the cost of the new election? Do we have to pay for that?
Yes,
Well,
it's in there.
okay.
We have been told, I think it's got 3,675.
Is that all? That's good.
You're riding on the back. You're riding on the back of 2 others.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
I
no,
see,
you just stick
okay.
a bit less actually if it's riding on the back because somebody else is paying the hire of the hall and stuff like that. But,
Oh, that's
yeah, no, we have been advised by ABDC what sort of figure we should expect to pay for the election.
Oh, that's good.
And you just have to do the 3 counts, don't they? That's the real time consuming.
I thought
There's a
it was more
polling
like
card, so you
15,000.
paying for.
So-
Street lights I've mentioned. We touched on the footpaths. The hub, bin related churchyard miscellaneous. Okay. Yeah, Alec, just going back to your earlier figures, the sum at the bottom there is of expenditure is 149,515. Is that the
Yeah.
figure you have? When I map that onto my summary page, which in this instant I don't seem to be able to find, there it is. What was that? 149.
5.5.
Oh, that's right there. Okay. It brings the precept out at 150,000.
So
With me
we
a minute.
must have a figure other than the total of the income.
If we look at that column there,
Yeah.
we've
That's
got
the
an income there, we've got expenditure there,
Yeah.
we have that as income as well, or an offset,
Right.
and we are allowing 20,000 to add to the 10,000
Yeah,
for
that's
the reserve, which gives us that.
right. That's fine.
All
Well,
right.
that extra 20 is the difference between my 132
Yeah.
and your 150.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Now, so that was effectively our first pass. It came out £150,000. It's a rise of 41.78% on the precept. Shock horror. But in response to somebody, I think, at the meeting, we could bring that down quite easily to £106,000, which is pretty much exactly the same as the precept, by saying, okay, we remove the neighbourhood plan, we remove the work that we thought we'd like to do on the neighbourhood plan, we take out hub reparations.
What are those reparations? Oh, hub
I
reparations.
didn't mean to say that. I didn't say that. You didn't hear that.
All right, we didn't say it.
We take out a figure for reparations in general. We take out the street lamp replacement, and we take out the footpath expenditure, and we reduce the reserve from 30,000 to 20,000.
So who suggested that? That you cut it from 150 down to 106?
No, I'm simply playing with figures.
Did someone actually say we could cut the precept?
Well, Tony Winterbottom, in response to the first draft of the precept figure, said, I don't think we should increase it at all.
But that's burying heads. It's
Well,
gonna, okay.
I'm reacting to what people say,
Interview.
and it was
Yeah.
quite easy to bring the £150,000 figure down to £106,000 by striking the pen through those things. So no neighbourhood plan, no reparations on some of our buildings, no street lamp replacement programme, no footpath work at all, cut the reserve down. Boom. That we could, the precept will be 99.4% of current level. And this is the dilemma we face. Where do you want it pitched? I think, my personal view is I think the neighbourhood plan is something we should be doing. Now,
Ironically, if you don't do it, you'll have more houses
Yes.
and more
Well,
precepts.
yeah.
they're more income.
Of course.
Yes.
But that's
I
not.
like the equation. Now, Colin said at the Parish Council meeting he thought we might be able to get a grant for that.
Right.
I think it was £7,000, something like that. Now, great if you can, but how am I supposed to plan for the future when I don't really know whether that's going to happen or not? I think the feeling is, my reading is that the neighbourhood plan is a good thing,
Yeah.
and if we have to spend 12,000 on it, we're going to have to spend 12,000 on it.
And there's something very tangible for people to see.
Yes,
And there's a benefit immediately that
yes.
you as a parish council, because we've sorted this for you, it will help defend against the amount of
Yeah.
development.
Yeah.
It's very negative at the minute, isn't it? I think because of the waste of money.
It's all reactive. It's all
Yes,
reactive.
Yes, very.
scenario.
Now, reparations, who knows? We could strike that out and just struggle to find some money to do it. Street lamps, if these things, if the columns themselves are prone to failure, we should be doing a replacement programme. But hey, we could slip it for another year, I'm sure.
Yeah, but hopefully you keep it in, hopefully you don't need to touch it, and the reserve starts to...
No. I think if we kept that figure in, we would undertake that programme of work.
Oh, okay.
I'm not putting money aside just as a means of increasing the precept.
It's a bit like the footpaths. If you don't do it, it will cost you more in the long run.
Yes.
I think we have to plan. If it's in there, we should be doing it.
I think one of the realities is that there's been no capital provision for replacing things like tractors
Yeah.
Correct.
and the like over the years. So the council's now in a dilemma whereby it's probably its most cost-effective solution for the next 2 to 3 years is to use a contractor with their own equipment because they don't have the capital provision or the wherewithal to raise the precept even more to replace
Yes.
certainly the broken one, or the Kabuto, whatever it is, the red one, and any repairs to keep the blue one going.
That's the right one.
So, the budget has been woefully inadequate for the last few years in terms of capital provision.
Absolutely, yes.
On which subject? I don't have an answer here, but I did have a discussion with somebody about sinking funds, and I'm not actually sure that the parish council can create sinking funds. I've got a feeling it's got to try and plan for the future, and if it needs a tractor in 5 years' time, it sets the money aside in its plan in 5 years' time. It doesn't put 10,000 quid a year away in as a sinking fund.
That's going to be interesting though, because if, as Clark Jensen said, if the government is going to cap parish council budget increases, that will prevent that sort of action, i.e. An artificially high precept for 1 year to make a capital purchase of £100,000.
Well, then if they're going to allow a smoothing out by saying, yes, you may have sinking funds, then fine. We can cope with it in a different way.
I thought it was also very interesting the comment she made that a lot of councils are anticipating that budget cap. Therefore, we're sitting here in isolation debating whether 41 or whatever it is % is a palatable figure. But other councils may well be sort of saying, well, let's just get on with it because we're not going to get a chance to uplift it in the future. Beyond RPI or whatever the measure is going to be.
Yeah, can I just ask? All going well next year, we will have a reserve. What will the reserve be as we say this time next year, all being well?
Well, my assessment is we should be aiming at 30,000.
So say we get to this time next year, there's 30,000 in reserve, it looks like it's going to happen. When we go to set the precept that year, we don't need to allow,
We've got the
so
reserve.
we could then theoretically drop back down on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So it's really 1 year of taking a bit of field
Yeah.
for hopefully getting that reserve there, getting that safety net.
Unless the government's introduced the cap.
Yeah.
You want to future-proof yourself, that might be a political decision to take.
How does 40% increase reflect on, say, my council
It's
tax?
the
Exactly what I was going to say here. Exactly right. I
Because
ran
that's the crunch of it.
Okay,
isn't it?
I ran
It's
a
£2
BBC.
a month or,
Mm.
well, okay,
have you got a pencil handy?
I have.
There are 1,600 Band D equivalent properties.
Right.
Okay, and it works out at £6.26 per £10,000 of precept.
Is that all?
What, per year?
Per £10,000 of precept. So, if the precept was £150,000,
Yeah.
then each household would pay £93.90 a year.
It's nothing. I'm sorry, but
If,
it's nothing.
let me just do the figures down. So £93.90 if it was a £150,000 precept, £62.60 if it was a £100,000 precept.
Keep it at 90.
Right? So that, and I don't like these figures because
I mean, if we're here to solve...
Maskell used these last year for justifying why he went out on the legal thing. That's why I don't like this at all. But it's £5.22 a month at a £100,000 precept and £7.82 a month on a £150,000 precept.
So it's £2 a month difference.
Yes. If that's what we're balancing between those two figures, status quo, 100,000, pulling some money aside for some good things, 150,000.
Because you remember the statement that went in the press from Councillor Maskell was along the lines of the precept had to go up last year, but for the previous 5 years we've been able to keep the precept down or reduce it.
Yeah, I know, I've heard that many times.
So maybe it's reality time.
Oh, yes, yes. We wouldn't be having this...
Well, we will be paying out what we have to do for footpaths if we'd have had enough in the precept
That's
and maintained them
exactly
correctly.
it, Yes,
You
yes,
know, because that money would have been spent on a yearly basis.
So the 41% will be a politically sensitive number, but the reality in pounds per household is probably not that sensitive.
No, no.
I am acutely sensitive to these figures, frankly, I mean, on a personal level. Whereas, where ABDC are capped and having to pinch pennies, and perhaps you and I personally are having to do so. As the parish council, we can just go, boom, give us a chunk. Let's go up 41%. And I think there are. I think we can defend it, but undoubtedly it doesn't look too good.
Is there a medium between the two? So then you, rather than look to build your contingency over 1 year, you do it over 2 years? Would that be another
What's the split
alternative?
difference?
So you take out some of the items that can take a delay or spend less on lampposts. Do a halfway house.
Of course we can. Yeah, that's a simple answer. I think my gut feel is that we are at greatest risk at the moment. The door's closed. The parish council is engaged in potentially 2 legal actions again now, and the outcome is unpredictable. My feeling is that past May next year, this whole legal issue will reduce. Now, costs will reduce. But picking up your point, I think the risk area is now and perhaps the first 6 months of next year, after which I would hope that wise heads on new parish councillors will not get us into these positions. So I take your point. I think if I were asked to work that another way round, I'd rather look to cut the reserve in a year's time, not next year. I just, my gut feel is, I worry about it. It's not sleepless
Well, you know
nights.
what's going on here, you're kind of involved in that, so yeah.
And we shouldn't forget that we're not insulated from national government in the sense of the warnings about the lowering of public expenditure over the coming 3 or 4 years. I can't see how we can be insulated from that, even though ABDC, as you said earlier, must give us the precept that we say we need. But, you know, it's difficult, I find it very difficult to understand that there are no constraints or restrictions on a parish council in the present financial fiscal climate. It does seem a little bit
It is odd.
illogical.
It is, but in a way, it simply emphasises the independence of the parish council over other forms of government, if you will.
It's that democratic model.
This is bringing the English government right down to English government level almost, isn't it? Rather than taking it up and up and up.
I agree with you that we should aim for the maximum this year and not defer, not spread it. I agree with that, for the reasons you intimated.
I just go back to some figures I quoted earlier. You know, the precept went up last year by £23,000. We have spent 70-ish more on legal costs. So where the hell has that difference come from? We've been dipping in all over the place. Things aren't happening. We had a reserve. Funnily enough, we had a reserve at the end of last year of £21,000. It just defies me that we actually did that, because we paid £10,000 out of last year legal costs.
In this, for next year, surely, I keep asking this question and I keep getting told, well, I've asked several people, I keep getting told that different insurances cover different aspects of the legal thing. Okay, I've got to get this through my head. How come you have a company, you have insurance for your company directors, don't you? Okay, so if they do something really silly, they're covered by insurance, so there's no cost to the company. How come with the parish council there's no such insurance? Is it because it wasn't the correct insurance cover taken out? Has anybody ever found out why there's legal cost us the money?
Yes. I mean, there was a straight £10,000 fine.
Yes.
There was the costs that were paid to Lightfoot's solicitors,
Yes.
which were Ed and Linda's costs, which the council had to pay, which were £36,000. I think we paid 10 and then 26, my recollection. And then there were our own solicitors' costs, which, to be honest, never seemed to stop.
No.
We seem to get, admittedly, slightly reduced figures now from Bucks County Council who are acting on our behalf. If I'm honest, I can't, I don't know if somebody can help me, I don't have an answer to the question why that wasn't covered by insurance.
I think there might be something in there.
Norman, I'm deaf.
Sorry, I think there might be something. What I've gleaned is that we might have changed insurance providers
Okay.
at a point whereby when the fence was erected, it was with a previous insurance company.
Okay.
When the case was started, we'd switched to a different insurance company,
Okay.
and therefore they wouldn't take the risk
Right.
because the fence was erected when we had a previous insurance company.
Are
Okay.
we talking about insurance company or broker here?
Well,
Because I thought we'd been with Cayman Company for donkeys.
yes, but who was the insurance company behind it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
It's
there was a
Aviva
different.
now.
I believe there was a different insurance company to Aviva when said fence was erected. And I think that might explain why insurance didn't cover
Okay.
the
that makes sense.
the episode in question.
When you change insurance, you always have to declare anything that's ongoing and potential. So that against the premium, so presumably.
So I think that might be
That makes
possible.
sense. Because I just could not understand how we
It's not an authoritative position. It's just something I think I've picked
Yes.
up along the way.
No, it sounds about right though, doesn't it? Because it just doesn't
Because
seem...
two insurance company names have appeared in some correspondence.
Okay, fair enough.
Has any part of our legal and insurance expenses been met, or legal expenses been met by insurance? there's any part of it. Because we
Yeah.
seem to have spent vast amounts of money over the last 2 years.
I just think, I mean, there was the action brought by Groundsman, and the insurance company paid some of that. I'm not just to be vague around it, because there were two figures that were paid out. Did we pay some of that?
We did, we paid
Did we pay 3.5?
3.5.
We paid 3.5 and the insurance company paid
Fine.
more.
Some of the defamation we paid for.
I'm not entirely sure about the more recent information, because we did pay some out to Aviva.
Yeah.
I suspect that was in excess.
Yes.
We also, there was another.
Someone took BLM as well.
Big one?
Someone took BLM law as
Yeah.
well.
Can this happen again, do you think? Get a new parish council in, do you think these circumstances could rear I'm not saying with Ed or any of that, but would we, as a parish, find ourselves paying out vast expenses because of something the parish council did on our behalf? Or do you think people might have learned more? Well, you
How much
might
worse
think
can it get than we're in at the moment, is my sort of feeling.
Well, I think it can.
I'll go back to what I said earlier. One
Yeah.
hopes that there are wise heads on new parish council shoulders coming in, and we do the right thing.
Mm.
And
Or-
legal advice is listened to and clerks are.
Well,
Yeah.
okay,
Well,
yes.
you know, it's been just a catalogue of errors.
Yeah, so I still don't understand, and I know you lot get fed up with me. How the hell was it allowed to happen? You found another, perhaps I shouldn't be saying all this, should I? Well, we're just so enraged thinking we're sitting here now, we're having a discussion that we shouldn't really have been having. The precept could have gone up by 20%, but it's got to go up because things happened. And it's broke us, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
We're not quite broke. We're
We're
above the
near.
water, but
Well.
certainly in September we were looking. I was dipping into my pocket, wondering how much I could lend the parish council.
I think that just sums it up, doesn't it? And I think that is appalling. And those people, I would have said exactly the same had they been here. I just cannot believe they can hold their heads
We've
up
had a
and think
difficult
they're
couple of
above it.
years. We've
Yeah.
undoubtedly spent a chunk more than we should have done in areas that we shouldn't have done.
Mm.
We've got to look forward. Stand for election next.
No,
next
I can't, can
May.
I? Because my memory isn't good enough. Because of my meds, I can't remember things. So, it's one of those, I would do, if I knew I could do it, I'd do it. But you'd get fed up with me because every time I was in, I can't remember that.
Yes,
Well, that's good because everything we've written down there.
I have a sense that we're sort of drawing to a close. I'm immensely grateful for your time for coming out. Thank you. What I take away from this is a sense that, a precept under 50,000 is a bit of an eye-opener. But I hope, having looked at the figures, having had the discussion, that you believe that there is some justification behind the figures. And certainly I think we should be aiming high for at least the first year. I have a personal worry that this is a difficult time because we hand over to a different bunch of people in May, and the last thing I want to do is to hand over to them so that they operate with one hand behind their back because we've not put enough money aside for them.
Yes, of course.
Let's give the new guys a chance.
Oh, yes.
Not by throwing chunks of cash at them. We've identified particular programs. We should embark on those programs. We should
As
get
long
it
as it's all
underway.
up and running, they will follow that path, surely. They won't come in like it.
Well, the
Yeah.
logic behind the precept will be much clearer than perhaps it has hitherto been. We'll have a clerk who's been working to understand and lead with that precept and budget after 6 months, 8 months in post. I think new councillors, I think one can anticipate a significant number of new faces, maybe not completely new, but a significant number. They will be better served by the work that's being done now.
Oh, yes, yes.
And this will be published. I put it on the website ahead of this discussion. When we get round to the meeting later on this month and in January and agree the precept and the detailed breakdown, I will put that on the website. My viewers have nothing to fear.
Do you think you'll get it past the full council?
Yes,
You do?
probably.
Oh, that's good.
I mean, to date, the only dissenting voice has been Tony. This is not criticism. He's
No,
perfectly entitled to his view.
of course he is, yeah.
Tony's the only one who's come up with a view which said, I think we should stick to the existing figure. My view is that will be very limiting for the parish council and for the future. I think that's
Which one's Tony? The one that lives here?
Yeah.
Or the one
the one
with
that's
the
in
t-shirt?
Park.
Okay.
Yeah. That's Joe.
Yeah,
T-shirt.
I was,
Or
it's
me.
Joe t-shirt. Yeah.
I
Very
think
similar.
another thing, Jeff, just as a ratepayer, not as a parish council here, I'd like to think that next year I will actually see something for my money.
That's
Yes.
how I feel.
I will see.
Yes, absolutely.
I know, say, seeing a new lamppost is not really much of a reward, but
No.
I will see money spent in the village, the neighbourhood plan.
Yeah, you'll get
Well,
down football
but the
and
key
under
thing
fun
is
And
around.
I can actually say, well, okay, I've paid more, but I can actually see something
Yeah.
now, and I can see some good coming from
But
my
that's,
rate money.
but the important thing is, what the council has now got through the new governance model is the communication exercise, which this is part and parcel of. So the clerk is now given the empowerment
Yes.
to actually talk about the jobs that are being done and to engage more with the community about setting up the follow-on parties to keep the paths clean and things like that. There's a different mindset in that particular space now with the council.
I'd like to thank you again for your time.
Oh, thank you for this.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you for what you've done.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Thanks, I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
And I loved your email. All you number crunchers out there. That's lovely.
We'll